start doing our own case study stuff.
Just a quick question, Kevin. Is there a major difference between 365 Pro that we downloaded and Project like 2000?
I think it's 2010, 2013 are really similar.
Yeah.
And then 365, the only difference is that it has an online functionality. So it should be good. And then you can use, actually, some of the examples that I got are from 2000, some of the examples I have are from 2003.
Okay. I think I bought a book that came with that one. Like Project 2003.
Came with 03?
Yeah. It was like a project management book that I had bought. It came with that.
Okay, is everyone downloading?
Yeah, I mean, this I'm not, I can't even make this slide until you have it. You know what I mean? There's nothing I can put on it. It's just gonna, that's just gonna be my empty slide for.
But like the header, then put up the header and support the text sheet.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say what it is, but I can't put a header on this one, you know, what the project is, because if our project is then it's gonna say something.
Like the text sheet.
This really isn't that simple. I don't think it's all.
Get you in there, then
but
you open.
a lot of it's also going to be formatting is financial models, fitting the ruling of the rest of the
So that they follow the standard, and I'm gonna work with them, do that additional space. So we have to try to
Let's just make the template that's when you see it fit. Because, well, you know what you're going to say, it's going to be cells, because if you have Excel, and like this slide, this is the one that I've used in hand, it's just not going to be formatted to fit.
You mean our Excel?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No,
So you gotta tell us, hey, you know what, your Excel thing needs to be this much wide, this much long, and then we'll build it like that.
but Excel doesn't fit.
No, we gotta play with it.
Yeah.
So if you give us the template, then we
You'll-
can
yeah.
stamp it on this, oh, no, this is too big. Yeah, because that picks up sometimes people trying to figure it out. You don't really get the full free play.
It was being slow on the color. Project team number. Right there.
Yeah, that's what
Remember that?
All right, so I see a lot of familiar faces in here. I know a lot of you, some of you that are new. I was teaching a real estate strategy course last quarter, which was basically just site visits. What we did was pretty fun. We got on a cruise, went to Key West, Grand Cayman, which is where I live, and Cozumel. And we looked at projects. It was a good time, but what I usually teach is most of the software courses for the program. So this is MS Project Pro. I'll be teaching Argus DCF, which is part of the quantitative tools for real estate development next quarter. Also be teaching land use planning, which is basically a zoning and land use course next quarter. And then, as you guys know, I think we're changing into the semester system. So in the fall of next year, I'll be teaching, for those of you that haven't met before, you'll be in the Argus developer course. So we can talk about those programs another time, but today we're going to talk MS Project Pro, and right now I'll go through the syllabus. I think it's pretty straightforward. There's a lot here, but the course is going to focus on MS Project Pro, which is a project management software program. So we're not going to use the program to its full extent. It's really for specifically project managers and engineers to manage projects and do some scheduling type stuff. So we'll go through kind of a PowerPoint at the beginning. It's just to give you an overview of what the program does, and then we're going to go through, and I can tell you now, it's going to be a long day, and it's tedious, and the pace is either going to be too slow or too fast for you. So fortunately and unfortunately for you, he's taping this, he's going to put it online, so we can all go back and look at it. You can also go back whenever I make a mistake, which is inevitable as you learn when you teach courses like this. So it'll be there online on YouTube, so if you miss something, we'll be able to go back and take a look at it. For this course in particular, and really the development process 1 and development process 2, they focus on the stages of the development cycle. This first session will be strictly on Project Pro. We're not going to get through all the features on it, but we'll try to cover as much as we can in a day. And the next course, we'll be doing the case study, as Dr. Forgy mentioned. We're going to work together going through the case study, and I think Forgy's going to be here too. I'm not positive if he will be or not, but I'll help each group with their project, and that'll be the application of some people that have been in the program before, also helping people that haven't been before. So it'll be a good day. The next 2 classes are going to be strictly site visits, so we're going to go look at projects. Those are 2 classes in March, so we'll have this one 2 weeks from now. I'll be here. We'll go over the case study, and then in March we'll go full days of site visits. This syllabus here I put together. I guess it's one of the most important things is that since I live in Cayman, to get in contact with me, I'm always on email, I'm always on my phone, doesn't matter where I am, I travel a lot too. So if you send me an email, I can call you back. You don't have to call me or incur any international charges or whatever. If I don't answer to my international number, call me on my US number. You can always send me an email. Gmail's the easiest, but the Nova stuff goes through too. And as most people know, I'm pretty good about getting back to you. So any questions, feel free to ask, and I'm always happy to meet online. There's a number of different ways. We do Skype, you can FaceTime, but neither one of those are very good because you can't share your desktop. I think Google Hangouts personally is the best. Or if you have something like GoToMeeting, I don't use it, but that's always an option. If you need help with something, I'll hop online and we can go over things like that. The textbook is not required. I think it's good text. I know 40's the one that recommended it, so it's something that. What did you say?
It's pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like this.
I've gone through. I've taken a look at it. I've flipped through some of it. Honestly, this isn't a course that we're going to be going section by section and chapter by chapter. It's just not like that. There's some courses that are like that, but this one's really not. It's a great resource if you need it. Calculators, if you've been in the program before, HP 10B2 is something you'll need for other classes anyway, so you might as well have it. These ULI publications are just some recommended stuff on the different types of development projects. Grading scale, straightforward. Course schedule I already talked about. I don't accept late assignments. and I don't think I need to go over that. I just think it's very unprofessional, and it's a graduate level program. Turn your assignments in on time. I won't take late ones. As far as the schedule of assignments go, we could talk more about this at the end of class, just because you'll know more about the functionality of the program and more specifics about how the program will be outlined, or how the projects will be outlined. But basically, there's going to be a group research term paper, and it'll be applying the skills that you learned today from the program. And that group paper is going to be integrated with the case study, and predominantly outputs from MS Project Pro. So what I want you to do, in a nutshell, is use the skills that you learned from today on the case study to make an MS Project Pro program. But I also want the deliverables include, actual presentable paper. So you need to have an executive summary. It needs to be formatted to, APA format, and include everything that a normal research paper would include, plus the Project Pro. So I want, you need to have an intro, an executive summary, table of contents, just like any program would be laid out, and at the end a conclusion about what your conclusion is of the project. So is the project a go? Is the project a no-go? What have we learned from MS Project Pro and the case study, MIT case study in general. So this is worth 30% of the grade. There's going to be an individual project. We'll talk more about the topics at the end, but I want you to come up with the topic, and we will talk about it in the next course 2 weeks from now, 2 Saturdays from now. And I'll approve or disapprove, most likely approve whatever your topic is. Can be a number of different things, ranging from some things that we'll discuss today, or something as advanced as an actual project that you're going to be working on. So I really like real world applicability to things that you're interested in, or having something from the course apply to something that you're doing right now, ideally. So if you could find something that you're interested in, and something that would maybe even help you too, would be great. The site visit blog. I think most of you that have been in the program have done the blog thing before. Basically, you're going to be creating a few blog entries about site visits that you're on, where you went, who you met with, what you learned. You'll pick 5 of the site visits that you're on. I assume that we'll be on maybe about 10 or so. So you pick 5 of them and write up a synopsis about it. It's pretty straightforward. We'll all post them online at the end of the course. These are just the typical academic misconduct. Don't cheat, don't break the school rules, and we won't have a problem. Meeting dates here, and then some useful web links. All right, so let's talk some MS Project Pro. So I borrowed some slides. It's very straightforward. So Microsoft Project Pro, it's project management software. It's designed for project managers, but it's really designed for everyone. It can be used for scheduling all types of things, whether or not it's something like your daily life. You could schedule a day. You're gonna wake up in the morning and brush your teeth, and then take a shower, and different tasks that would run concurrently or separate to that, and what kind of dependencies they have between each other. So you're developing a plan. You might have a set of resources for that plan, so where you would source the things that are going to let you execute that plan. And then going into what we'll talk about more at the end of the day is tracking that plan, what your progress is, where you've gotten, where you've been, and where you're going. And at the end game is to get in, and we probably won't get this far, but you get into managing budgets and maximizing the efficiency of your production. So For example, if you have two people working on something, and you can more adequately get that task done by applying 4 people in a similar time period to get that task done. It'd be more efficient to hire 4 people to do it. On the other end of the spectrum, if you hire 8 people to do it, you only need 4. The other 4 might be getting in the way, so that might deplete the allocation, or the way that you're adequately allocating your time or resources to accomplish that specific task. Also getting towards managing budgets, we'll look at how allocating those resources and the cost of those resources affect the overall productivity, and aligning those things to be the most productive that you can. Analyzing those workloads as well. Project Pro
Kevin,
is
can I ask
originally...
you a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
When you said about budgeting, does it give you like sort of like a job costing thing as well, or just like upfront budgeting?
So it can. So I work in an office that we have surveyors or appraisers. We do quite a bit of project management, a lot of architecture, a lot of planning, and we also do engineering, but more of the project management side of engineering. So one of my colleagues, his name's Chris Sutton. He's been nice enough to share some of his stuff with us today, but he's been in the business for 40 years, and he is an older guy, but he's very good, very tech savvy. And he uses more Excel spreadsheets for the costing side of things. But you can definitely use them and integrate it into the program. I personally don't think it's the best for that. It definitely has that ability, but for allocating individuals or allocating specific periods of time, I think it's a much better tool for that. Did that answer your question? MS Project Pro, we'll talk just quick evolution. It started in '87, scheduling, simple reporting, some task management. You could print them. 2010, it does everything from managing daily tasks to really complex server-based things that work through computer science and engineering. So server-based workflows and things with software, that type of thing. Some consultants use it for business process management, so looking at the way that deals flow through a company, the way that businesses flow through a company, where the gaps are, where you're going, basically flow chart, but with more of a schedule side to it. Obviously reporting, portfolio management. I think Microsoft is just taking a little step out here and claiming they can do a whole lot of stuff here when, and what it really boils down to is a lot of it is just, it takes so much time to use the program that you're over allocating resources unless it's just a really big job. So, and we'll talk more about that going into it. So, unified project management, portfolio management. It is really simple and intuitive. Great user experience. It's scalable, which is kind of what I talked about before. There's just a real economies of scale issue with using the program, where you need to have a reasonably sized project, and there's a certain point where it's kind of self-defeating. So a bit of what I talked about before. We have a level of complexity here that when you have an individual, there's something that's a low level of complexity like project management. Work group calibration reporting, such as web-based server, and then something really complicated like project and portfolio management, and using other programs like feeding into SharePoint. It does interact very well with other Microsoft programs. You'll notice that when we're using it, and really, to be honest, the first hour is just going to be you guys watching me click around and going through the functionality of the program. It works a lot like Excel. It works a lot like Microsoft Word, and they feed into each other. They behave very well together, and we'll talk a bit about that. Creates budgets, work and resource rates. the first part we're going to be going through is solely the scheduling. So we're just looking at the scheduling aspect. It's basically a complex calendar. The second part that we'll get into is allocating the resources from a resource pool that we select. The resources can be shared between projects. We're only going to work on one project at a time today, but you can share resources between group projects, and similar to the way that you would link one Excel spreadsheet to the other, they can feed into each other and behave well together. We'll set up a calendar. There are limitations. It assumes that certain materials and people have no limits, so you can set it on a 24-hour period, and it just assumes people will work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, which is not a very good assumption. It's a great management tool. It helps project managers often operate more efficiently, effectively. As I mentioned before, part of it is just a complex flow chart, which has some critical path elements. We won't get too far down that path today, I don't suspect, but just that you know. Accomplish goals using project management standardology. There's 3 phases of the program. At first we're gonna build a plan. The building plan is gonna take most of the day. At the end, we'll go through how to track and manage a project, and looking at the specific dates and how you've allocated resources and what your outcomes were, and how you got where you are and where you're going, and certain types of reporting and that type of thing. So the plan will involve defining a project, planning the project activities, where you're going to procure the resources from what each one of those resources is going to cost. There's a number of different ways to allocate each one of these things. Look at the quality of what you're trying to produce and the risks. Plan communication and security between the resources and the tasks. Optimize the project plan, and print and distribute the information. Some of this is getting redundant. We're going to show how to track projects, manage the schedule, manage your resources, manage costs, manage risks, that type of thing. Thanks. So let's go in and start looking at Project Pro. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so let's not touch our mouse or keyboard now. We're just going to look at the program's functionality. I mean, you can if you're on the internet or whatever. I know I'm not that exciting, but this is your basic dashboard for the program. Similar to most of Microsoft programs operate. They've changed since whenever it was 2007, where it's mostly menu forms. There's actual visual representation. When you open the program, you're going to be in your tasks pane here, and before you go into how to set up a project, we're just going to go through and look around. Similar to other programs, you have your copy and paste, your fonts. There's some scheduling things here that we'll talk in a bit about. Looking at individual tasks, inserting, looking at the properties or information about the specific tasks, editing those tasks. Your resource pool, which we'll cover in a bit, the way that the reporting works, linking between projects and specific things about the project. Your view here, this is really important. There's a whole lot of different views in here. So I'm not going to go through the views yet, just because we don't want to get overwhelmed. There's a lot of different charts and features in here, and they all feed into each other automatically. Like I said before, it's like linking Excel spreadsheets, but it's already done it for you. So it's really smart and really intuitive. So when you make a change in one place, it goes through and reallocates everything else and all the other spreadsheets or all the other scheduling that you have. Sorting, looking at specific tables. You can filter by a number of different ways, which we'll use quite a bit later. Looking at a specific time scale or setting your specific days, that's something that can be covered now. So what we're going to first do is we'll go through and we'll set up a number of tasks on the left side here. The way that those are going to be allocated can be set up by anything from hours to years. I like doing months or quarters. You can zoom to the project, an entire project. Any windows here, macros. You can edit the formatting of the charts and the way that things are produced. We'll talk more about these fields later. So, to start with Project Pro, just so that you know, these are the tasks that we have set up here on the left side. When you set up a task, there's a number of different ways you can do it. You can set up the task visually by, and actually let's go through and look at something by days just so that we know. You can go through and set things up graphically, or you can go through and set them up numerically and it'll graph it for you. You can do it either way, and either one is effective. It shows a timeline here at the top, and we'll show in a bit. The timeline is useful for knowing the timeline of the project, but it's also really useful for what you're viewing in the window. So you can add certain tasks to your timeline. They're not automatically up there, but it'll really help you see what's visually produced here. So to start out, the first thing to do when you're starting a project is you want to go in and set up your options. So why don't we all click into options actually and take a look at it now. You have a default view here. I like setting up to Gantt chart. Gantt chart will just show us the task and the workflow or the graphical representation of the task. The display type of calendar, that's one thing I need to apologize for. Actually, on the handouts, all my dates are in UK, so it's days, month, year. So we're not going to go through it that much, but that's kind of a pain. We'll get to the handouts at the end. The symbol, obviously currency symbol, you can assign different types of currencies here if you want to. Scheduling is very important. So the main thing that you want to go in and change when you first open a project, and I would write this down, is that you want to open your options and click this new task created and click auto schedule. So very first thing, options, go into the schedule and go to new task created, let's click auto schedule. This is very important, I can't stress that enough. You don't want to get far into you can go back and reset it, but you have to make sure it resets to a number of different things. So the easiest thing to do is open the program, go to schedule, let's click auto schedule.
And if you don't do that, what is it?
So the program, what it'll do is that when you tell it specific dates when to start and when to end a project.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say, for example, when you're actually doing the project, there's two ways it can happen. So if you're just setting up, sorry, can you guys hear in the back?
No, we can't. It's hard to see.
Yeah, I couldn't see it from the back.
That's all.
That's a good question.
It would be the bottom right in the corner where there's the plus and minus, but
just
I
zoom
don't
the
think
other
that's,
one.
yeah, I don't think you can zoom this.
Yeah, I don't think I can. Dr. Fred, do you know how to do that?
You can try the roll bus and see if that.
Yeah, I tried. Look here.
After that, I go.
It's got plenty of room up here, guys.
Yeah, come be friendly. I couldn't see it from the back earlier at all.
Get on the floor, man. Get away from that noise.
Indian style.
Just hearing noisy something like that.
This little fuzzy thing.
It's one of those lights. So the auto schedule, basically if it's on manual, and we'll look at it in just a bit, it's not going to go through and automatically change the way that your resource is allocated. So like, let's say if you have a project start date of next Monday, and you change it to next Tuesday, it's not going to go and push all the other ones back, like all your other tasks. So
An auto schedule as well.
yeah, auto schedule will. So you'd have to go in and like manually tell each task to you, which there's a number of ways, there's a number of reasons that you would want to be able to manually schedule stuff, but like we're just going to solely look at auto scheduling. So in the schedule, also very important too, it assumes a 40-hour work week, so 8 to noon, an hour for lunch, and then 1 to 5, or you get an hour. Basically, they're getting an hour break. Very important. Week starts on Sunday. This is assuming that we're not working on weekends, and a number of different other items here. So, like I said before, can't stress it enough. Schedule, new task created, auto schedule. Pretty straightforward. We're going to go through and look at this proofing. I wouldn't worry too much about saving, default save file. You guys should know most of this. Advanced. This is important. We're going to create, so after we create the schedule, we're going to go in and we're going to assign resources for each one of those specific tasks. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about it like at the end game. So the way that we're really going to use this program in this course, and the way that you'll really use this program in real life, especially as it relates to real estate or real estate development, is allocating your human resources. So you're most likely in a project. You may be involved in the inception or the two ways that you would find a project. You either have a use and source of a site, or you have a site and source of a use. So you are looking at a specific site that you want to find and use. In which case, really in either case, you're going to need a number of other people involved with it. So let's say you have a planner to design the way that the site's going to lay out. You're going to have an architect that's going to design the actual building itself. You're going to have a structural engineer that'll design the way that the structure is going to be set up, and the way that the reinforcement of that structure is going to happen. You're going to have an MEP, or mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineer that's going to do all the MEP drawings for you. You might have some type of legal counsel, that type of thing for setting up your business entity. You're going to have a whole bunch of different resources in the pre-planning process. When you get into the actual building itself, and this is more of a project manager type of role, you're going to have people like different type of workers, different type of trades, let's say plumbers, electricians, roofers specifically. There's a whole number of different people that you're going to use for those resources. So those are the type of resources mostly that we'll be talking about today. Resources can also be obviously materials and equipment that you would use. Like I said before, allocating those types of things is important, but and most people I've talked to, their opinion kind of beyond the limiting use of the program. So the resources, you could set up a specific default standard rate for the resources. So let's say you automatically want to pay everyone $25 an hour, and you don't have to go in and allocate it. When you add a resource, it's automatically going to be paying them $25 an hour. If it's an attorney, you'll go in and put in 500 or whatever it's going to be. If it's just kind of depends. So very useful feature there. And most of the rest of this we're just not going to mess with. You might mess with it at some time. We're not gonna play with the class today. So okay, so we've done that file. We did the file options. Again, file options, schedule, auto schedule. Okay. So we have that set up. The next thing that we're going to want to do is to go in and set up some project information. Project information is straightforward. We're going to have a start date, so when is the project going to start? And wants to start it today. Well, I don't want to start the project today.
Yeah, what did you
What
put?
did you get?
How'd you get there?
It's project information. You clicked, sorry, my bad. It's project, the ribbon at the top, project.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for doing that. If you ever have a problem, just yell at me. I take criticism well, so just let me know if you missed something or have any problems. So click project at the ribbon at the top, and then we're going to click project information. So options, auto schedule. If you're done with that, project information every time. Doesn't matter what it is, every time. That's what you're doing. Those are the first two things that you're going to do. So start date. It is a scheduling program. I'm not going to get around to that. So let's just set out the date in the future. We're going to say the 1st of April, which is the beginning of next quarter. It knows the current date, so it's going to know that we're not starting the project today. So schedule from. We want to schedule from the project start date. We could also go backwards in time and schedule from when we want the project to end or when we need the project to complete, and we go back and we go through and see when we need to accomplish every single one of those tasks to see when we need to start the project for a certain completion date. Our calendar is standard. Like I said before, it's a 40-hour work week. We can set up night shifts. We'll look at later that you can allocate individuals to work certain specific hours. So like if you have somebody that's on contract to work 8.5 hours a day, or somebody that's going to work 10, it also does overtime. And there's a number of different calculations that we won't get into with that. But let's say you could apply overtime for somebody for 50% or a specific dollar rate or that type of thing. So right now we're just operating standard. It knows the date, so it's assuming that this is our current date here. So we're going through our options. We set our project information. Now we're ready to create.
What's a priority for?
Where are you?
Right there.
Oh, that's a good question. All tasks to be done as soon as possible. I'm not sure. There's gonna be a lot of stuff in here that to be honest, I don't use the program professionally. We have a lot of people in our office that use it. I'm very familiar with it and the way that it operates. There's certain things, and even most people I talk to about it, and a lot of these programs are so advanced. There's just features that you're not going to get into.
Is there a volume button up there to turn the speakers off?
Yeah.
You hearing that?
Kind of distracting, yeah.
Is it the speakers or the lights?
It's the speakers.
Speakers.
It's the,
Did that change?
I think it's the menu.
I pressed audio mute. Maybe we can play with it in the break.
It's down there. If you mute the computer.
This computer.
Is that on? No.
something
I
else.
think it's
That's
something else.
I think it's
It's-
Okay. We'll see if we can play with it in the break. So, okay, so your project information, we're ready to set up a project. We have a start date of April 1st. Mine says the 1st of April, 2015. Sorry, but I'm not going to change it on my laptop. I use it for work a lot, so. The 1st of April is when we're planning on starting a project. So, okay. So you'll see here that what it's done is it's gone through and it's set up as per what our 40-hour work weeks are. So you'll see that there's a gray area on, this is very important, there's a gray area on Saturday and Sunday. So we're assuming that we're not going to be working Saturdays and Sundays. And even though it can allocate through those, it's not allocating the actual resources to be used on those dates. So it might show that it's running through those, but you'll just have to know that there's no one actually working on those days. As I mentioned before, this time scale, I've set it to individual days just because we're going to look at some really, really simple tasks starting out. So, why don't we all go through together and set this up? I don't know how many of you have been following, but let's go through and let's look at a specific task. So, as I said before, there's two different ways that you can allocate or you can create a task. You can either assign it using the mouse or using the calendar to the right, or you can pick specific days and tell it what days you want to operate in. So I'm going to just say that it's starting at the beginning of April, which should be a Wednesday. Let's make sure it's not right. 15 would be correct, wouldn't it? The 1st of April, which is a Wednesday. Okay. So project starting at this dotted line right here, 1st of April, which is a Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and go to task. I want to create a new task. So click the plus on create insert a task. It's going to ask me for a task name. I'm going to call it just step 1.
My start date's wrong.
Yeah, so if you get back to that, same thing as before, project information. And we'll go through later and we'll set something up for an ongoing project. So
Set the right date.
that's unusual. Before we start going through this, why don't I show you a bit more of the functionality? So this obviously just functions like any other Microsoft program. You can move windows, that type of thing. I'm not going to get into all the different pages, but your tasks at the top. I like to, and it just helps me with the graph. You don't have to do this, but if you go in and you click this add new column, let's all go in and do this right now.
Okay.
So on this left window, you'll scroll to the right, and I want you to click add new column at the top. Is everyone with me? Yes.
Mine was on 90% and then it went like blank. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I think that's a problem with the same thing happened with my computer. I think it's probably that you have either a 32-bit system and you're trying to install a 64, or you have a 64 and you're trying to install a 32. So go into the website, and whatever you were downloading before, select the other one and download it.
You don't have to worry about activating it.
No.
It'll still work.
Okay.
Okay, so does everyone see this add new column?
Yeah.
And this is just something that I like to do, and it just makes your life easier because it's easier to tell what's going on. Find the one that's successors.
So we pull this thing apart.
Does everyone see that? See the successors are right, add new column.
That's
Pretty
pretty
cool.
cool.
You got it.
Successors? Yeah. You're gonna have to scroll it right here on the column. Yeah. Scroll it right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I can use it now. We'll activate it later on. We'll activate all the programs.
Yeah, I can't.
All right. I don't know if the hell's going on with it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna plug it in. But isn't that strange how I can't activate anything? It wouldn't let me activate this or my Excel or nothing.
If I wanted to delete it.
So if you could, just take a look at that issue and just text me how much time you spent on it.
I just wanted to
All right,
delete
yeah,
it.
take a look, get me all set
I
up.
think I
and
added the
just
extra
text me a bill.
select auto schedule.
All right, bye.
I kind of looked. I checked already. Or maybe, let's see, information, scroll tab.
Okay, cool guys.
How do, what if I wanted to delete one? I want to delete this one. I added it by accident.
You would normally right click, but I don't know how you do that on there. I'm just hold it down. Is there like a delete or even just cut it?
I'll just hide the column.
Yeah, just move it to the right.
There we go.
You can't sign in, is that just because of the internet? It's kicking, it won't let me like do anything.
I think somebody was saying you didn't have to sign in.
Yeah, it's not letting me sign either.
Well, because then it says like to activate it.
You don't have to
but I can't
activate
do
it.
this
You don't
task
activate it.
Without being.
You don't have to.
I think it means
letting you.
I think the task, the stuff that it wants you to be able to do is like online collaboration stuff, which we're not going to use.
I'm just like, you know.
Is that the login screen?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Just
I'll
exit
do it,
out.
But I can't see, I can't do.
But
that
look,
task,
if you look at the
so I can't
red
do that.
little strip
Yeah.
at the top, it
I had my
says if you only
computer
do it until the
doing it.
22nd,
Yeah.
then it's gonna, you ain't gonna be able to do a lot of stuff.
Oh, if I pass that time, you're saying?
Yeah, it'll disable
I
some
wonder why you're
features.
doing that though. Isn't that strange?
It's not reading the internet.
Because I think you have a, we all got a free trial, I think.
Oh, well, that's probably what it
Yeah.
is.
So it's like, hey,
I don't know. I'm not-
you need
So you need to buy
they
it.
want you to put your, or associate your email with it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right, guys. Let's go in here and let's add successors in. So everyone that's working, we have that hopefully. When I went, I just clicked and dragged to add this. I'm just gonna delete it just to do it again. So
I'll do it again.
right now we're in here. We have our list. This is gonna be our list of tasks on the left that we're gonna create. This is called the Gantt chart. This is just the basic mode. This is home base. This is where you are when you come into the program. This is where you're going to set everything up from. This is your home right here. And just so you always know how to get back to your home, click task on the ribbon and you click Gantt chart if you get lost ever. Task on the ribbon, you click Gantt chart. Again, click task on the ribbon, you click Gantt chart because you can get lost and it's really easy to do and then you have no idea what's on the screen. So we're just talking about the Gantt chart right now. So when you create one task, all I did was I clicked here, I held the mouse down, I dragged. So I'm going to create this task for this week. Okay, so it's warning me. You have created a task that is before the project start date. Do you want the task to be before the project start date? I'm going to say no, I don't think so. Oh, I said yes, I guess apparently it's moved to the start date. So let's see, project information. Actually, it's good to make errors every once in a while so we can all see what, how you can mess it up. So Wednesday the 4th, description for the project start date. You see that eliminated what I accidentally did right there. So, okay, let's click to the right, and I'm just going to schedule a task. Let's do through the next Friday. So you'll see what it's done on the left. It's allocated that. It says the duration of that task is 8 days. So it's created a task for me. The task is going to be 8 days. I'm going to click here and make the task. I'm going to call it step 1. Okay, step 1 is between these 2 days. Something else about the functionality that I don't know how often you guys use Excel or Microsoft Office, but just a really useful shortcut, is you can hold Control and you scroll, and that zooms in or out for you. And then also, you can also do the same thing in the bottom right with this plus or minus, just like you would in Excel or any other Microsoft program. So right here, I got lost, right? I'm like, okay, I don't know where I am. Where's everything I was working on? You know, I'm lost. I have no idea. I can scroll up, I can scroll down. I can't find anything. You're just going to go back to this task right here. Let's make sure this task is selected. This line is selected. And you're going to go to click View, the ribbon at the top, View. And you're going to click Selected Tasks. So that shows the actual task that I'm looking at right now. Does everyone understand that? So if I get lost, I'm in no man's land, I don't know where I am, I have no idea what's going on. I'm, 2018, and I have lost. I just click here, I click View with the ribbon at the top, it's Selected Task. Another important option here is you can click Entire Project. So the Entire Project one is useful, and once you get so many steps in, it's gonna just, if you have this really, really long project, it'll just take it and squeeze it down into something really small. So like, let's say you have 100 tasks, then it'll just be squeezing, and you have like a long period, like 5 years, it'll take the 5 years and then just squeeze it into the right side of your screen there. So it's useful, but when you want to view the entire project like that, it's a useful thing to have, but just so that you know, and we'll look at it later with a project with a bunch of tasks, it just zooms in outrageously far.
How do you scroll on the calendar?
On the right side,
Yeah.
just with this bar at the bottom.
Can't get mine to work.
That's weird. You can scroll this, and it's kind of weird too. The whatever and it's a good feature, but it's kind of annoying at some points. Is that whenever you hold the arrow over whatever area you're in, it'll scroll that area. So at the bottom, I'm scrolling here with my scroll, but then at the top, it's scrolling ribbons, which is like a really easy way to get lost. And not even be in no man's land like in here, like be in no man's land like some random charts that you've never seen before. I'm not even kidding. I mean, there's tons of charts and stuff like that. So sometimes that'll happen at the top, or like if you click a different view, which I'm not even going to right now, it'll just confuse you. So yeah, ways to get home on this sheet. And I'm going through these a lot just because I've done it before and it's just not very much fun. So again, View, Entire Project, or Selected Task, very, very useful. Okay, let's all click Task here at the top, and let's start some basic things here, adding additional tasks.
Before you go, is there a reason why there's a question mark near 8 days? Or is it just always gonna?
It's just wondering if that's specifically what we want.
Okay.
I didn't see a question mark on mine. Should it be there?
I think
No.
it's because when you highlighted it, put a question
It's because
Okay,
we created
okay.
it's because we created the
But you
task
dragged it.
using the drag and drop. So it says it just wants to make sure, do we want this to be 8 days, because graphically it's not very easy to see.
Cool.
For some reason my drag doesn't work. Like when I drag it, it's not creating a task.
Mine wasn't doing that either.
Right now, we're legally using it.
Okay.
Did your scroll thing work on the bottom?
Are you using a normal computer?
Yeah. I mean, I can create it here, but
That's what that is.
You back in now?
I'm just I can use it, but I can't. I'm just gonna have to like do a whole new.
That's your manual.
For this,
So
for
you
this,
have
baby, yeah.
file and options.
The 2 projects here. Yeah, individual group, and then a project for 4 as well.
And what happened was,
It's light, man. It's nothing, man. I mean, one of them is like a 3-day project. The 4G one is like 3 days. And then it's done.
I get all these, maybe I got your ones.
We're gonna find out. I think you should. Try to get something
Hey,
formatted.
you guys want? Can we take a? You guys want to take a break? Five,
Sure.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's doable. Nothing's impossible, man.
Let me ask you, his dates, are they in that UK room?
Yeah, his is in the weird. Don't really focus on it.
That's pretty cool, huh?
I can't set it
Probably best part. It's just a regular
Does it let you type, or does it let you write?
It's a laptop, like, you can switch it to like writing. And then just write your shit in.
That's not true.
Nah,
It's
it's pretty cool. I like the shit. I just like, the thing is,
I have no idea.
obviously, yeah, it's big shit, but I can't do like slow. You know what I mean? I can't stand slow.
I'm sure
And this has an i7 core i7 processor. That's like the best one they have right now. And you want to do something, it does right then and there. Yeah, man. I can't.
Sometimes,
Even the computer at my job drives me crazy.
well, the computer,
I got this because the one I had before, the one I was using last semester, that shit up here, like snap charging.
I know,
So I
right?
went for whatever.
I'm tired of going to the office and typing my stuff. You good with it?
I saw the computers everyone was young and I'm like, I graded it.
That's why I like this though, because it's a laptop, so it has everything you need in a laptop, but then it converts right to a tablet if you want.
You and she's so.
I think I'm gonna just use it. Like, why should you schedule my phone on Canada?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's teaching in school now,
Yeah, you
right?
can use it for like shit at home, but you use it for
more, right?
work.
Like, do you think I was in computers, I couldn't explain what Excel was?
Yeah, right, no, right.
I was like, Prezi way more fun.
It is. Space age, man.
Just press OK. So you were able to get the work after all?
It worked. Yeah, I had my computer guy remote in here and get it all set up. It wasn't working. But now we are in.
All right, excellent.
Thank you.
Dr. Borgie, do you know how to activate this if it's not activated?
Mine wonders so much.
It's causing me problems because I can't do certain tasks.
Like, it's almost like an enable.
So I can do certain things, but if I want to add a task or anything like that, it's getting my, my username. Yeah, put that in.
Right.
My wife's computer, but.
How was the rest of the
Really? Oh, man. Which one do I do? Microsoft? It's really simple. So I did the.
Say again? I haven't even read any of my emails. I haven't had time to. So when I get Sundays is my day. Okay, that's it? Okay, all right, fair enough. Good. I had a bunch of shit. I had my computer guy. Do you run Mac or do you use Linux? I had my computer guy put Parallels on last night. It's called Parallels.
So you don't have to.
No, I had my Windows and my Mac.
Oh, so you got to.
You split the computer,
Split the
right?
computer, yeah. He put some. Took it apart and put some shit in it to make it fast. Not expensive either. They're all sitting down. It was a few $100. But it beats buying a new computer, though, you know.
That's better than that.
Yeah.
The problem when you split the Macs is that then it can get viruses that it couldn't
It's
get
true.
before.
You're right.
And that's why
You're right.
I've never split my Mac.
You're right.
I've almost done
I'm not
it
going
so
on any
many
porn
times.
sites on my Windows side. I'll tell you that right now. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Only for.
Like it's
Only
all
for-
jokes,
exactly.
all
No,
jokes
you're right.
aside.
Yeah,
No,
you're right.
that's why why I never split. I have a Mac, but I never split
Right.
it.
I downloaded.
So I just steal one of the office
I didn't put any,
computers.
I didn't put any firewall in this either, so I'm susceptible. But you know, you're exactly right.
Wow, that is
Something that I can just, what I'll do is
Microsoft would automatically.
This semester we have a lot to do. I thought it was gonna be like lighter load. I picked up more at work. They're like, oh, you wanna do this? I was like, sure, why not?
He took me for curve too. He said, "Oh shit, case study." Well, he's gonna take a field trip.
Doesn't software install.
Yeah, the game on us, man. I'm ready. I need to get this down. To it, but to do it.
I'm meeting with you guys 4 times. Also, 2 in March.
The good thing about it, we don't meet like every Saturday.
Right. Get some space out. Right.
Good.
That time we project.
I agree.
I concur.
When I was in college, they said that I drove the 80 bus.
He's gonna bring the school bus.
Where's the project do for this class? What the project do for this class? No,
MIT is on the 2nd.
Okay,
February 2nd.
February 2nd.
Yeah, you should schedule it all into here.
Yeah. Oh, look, I can show you it. I kind of have it on here.
But do it pop up automatically?
True.
You got it.
No.
You got
So you got log in and get scheduled.
Nah, I put it here. That's what I mean.
I'll put it in the phone.
Look, see this right here? I kind of schedule everything that's due between reading assignments, group project proposal, midterm group project. Got that one due March 4th at 11:59.
I like this phone. My calendar's full of crap.
But yeah, that book, like, I'll go in and, no, that's just, I graduated my 3rd semester.
The problem the main problem is that when you opened it, you didn't give it
I'm
one
just a pro like that, you know what I mean? Come in,
Let's close that.
that's it.
So go to
It's easy.
Well, no, you can't go back and change it.
You gotta go now.
Okay, so go.
So you need to create a blank project. And then go straight to file and options.
Not to forget, because I want used to, you know.
I mean, you gotta understand,
Schedule.
just do it, man, that's it. It doesn't your mother, I think you said your mother was admissions, what did she do?
Great, and then I can just start adding like a test.
Within
Yeah.
MSU.
Okay.
I didn't see
And it's just starting from the standard suite of that. Normally go with project information.
Okay, project agreement.
Hey bro, what'd you do with the, did I do the same, make the same mistake here?
Yeah.
I just got online.
Yeah, so you have to close it.
Okay,
And
so.
then,
With me, man, I just felt like, I just wanted
no, you have to create a new project.
But I found out,
Or actually, I would
prefer to see my plan for my college degree.
go back in.
It was 6 years.
You try to figure out how
4
to
years for my bachelor's, 2 years.
No,
So once they told me
Yeah.
it was a year, it's like perfect. You know what I mean?
I'm
Let's just
about
get it
to
out the way.
uninstall it and do it.
It's gonna change.
Yeah.
But not mine.
Yeah, so I think it's all good for class,
But
bro.
they said it's still
I want you,
on.
I know, right?
we'll talk later.
Think about showing
What, I'm sorry, say again, this is not part of office?
He has some.
Okay, so you something I can do.
That's pretty cool.
That's one of the benefits of it being a master.
Maybe Sunday.
Be on top of it.
Yeah, that's gonna be right. That's gonna be they have a chance. I ain't going. I can't judge. You gonna win that game? I think Seahawks gonna pull it off.
It's like,
Oh, really? I imagine.
so what you have is same thing here.
Yes.
And then all the sheets of the Excel.
What is it called?
I just hadn't seen the team for this and I took
Call that
I did the sale.
His name Kevin.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin.
Like a broker?
Kevin,
No, I'm saying.
So you know people find like.
quick question for you. Well, I think I X'd out of it, right? Clear?
Yeah.
So now I go new?
Options.
Option.
all the
So you
templates.
help people find households.
Schedule.
So that's what I always do, is go straight to
Yeah,
options
every time.
every time when I want to create a new task. Gotcha. But once the task is created, then
Yeah, and you can go back and do it, but I don't think it happens. And you'll see it on the website.
So when you first.
Okay, I think we're missing 2 people, but they'll be back. Hey, so a couple people are still having that problem. Like, literally, I cannot stress it enough. Whenever you create, and actually, I don't even know if it's sufficient to do it when you open the when you create a new blank project. Like, I would just close the entire program. So, like, do I want to save changes? No, I'm fine. I'm going to open an entirely new Project Pro and go into my options. I'm going to create a blank project, go into my options, schedule, auto schedule, like every time. And the way that I was able to tell whether or not you did, and I'll just do it the wrong way just so that you know. The way that I was able to tell is that when I type something in, you see this question mark and this pen right there?
Yeah.
That means that it's a manually scheduled.
Okay.
So you can
So-
auto schedule from there, each one if you had to.
You can. I think there are some conflicts with it though, because when I've played with it before, even you can go in and select auto schedule here at the top. But even like, and two, like I was looking through some of the manuals too, like that's the thing that they say every time, so.
Okay, cool.
It's not letting you auto schedule, is it? Is that what your problem is?
No, I have to activate it, and it's just,
But it didn't let you auto schedule before.
So do you want us to open up a new one now
Yes,
then?
it
and-
will.
won't let me add tasks or
Right.
like anything.
If you're auto scheduling, then you can go.
Well, I'm gonna create a whole new account this later.
I did that.
I'm gonna uninstall it and
Reinstall it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not doing
All right,
that.
so, okay guys, so blank, there's a bunch of stuff we're gonna have to cover here today, so let's get at it. So file, options, like I said before, if this is task, if you have this weird pen, sometimes it'll have a question mark. Hey, how's it going? Sometimes it'll have a question mark. Gotta change that to auto schedule. So if there's an issue, there's a question mark there, I highly advise just closing the program, opening a brand new one, and selecting auto schedule right away. So I'm just gonna pin Project Pro in my freaking taskbar here. So I'll start a new one, blank project, options, schedule, auto schedule. Okay. So let me get to where you guys were before. Second step always is go to project information. And we want to set a start date. So if you're not where you were before, let's go in and get here. So you want an April 1st start date. And I am going to go around and make sure everyone has the same dates and everything as mine, by the way. So just so that you know, I'll be a pain, but it's kind of important. Okay, so April 1st, we're going to start this project next quarter. Starts the Wednesday, and
There we go.
this is the same problem that someone else.
There we go.
You have to add tasks.
Yeah, you can do it that way, but you're supposed to be able to drag one too. Okay, another way to add a task is to, instead of using the actual physical thing to the right, is you click this plus button at the top to add a task. So let's try it that way. Everyone click the plus, add a task. We'll call this step 1.
You want us to add another one even though we have the line already?
Yeah, either one. I mean, we're just playing around with
Okay,
it now.
okay.
So, I mean, don't worry about figuring it out right. So, okay, so when you click the plus at the top, it's automatically going to start it at the project start date. So then it's going to ask your duration. So the easiest way, rather than be going into messing with these dates, the program really is for just pushing dates and driving a schedule. So the easiest thing is to go in and you put in what you want here. So there's a number of different ways that you can do that. So like, did you see that I put like if you type in 1M, that would be 1 minute. If you type in 1D, that would be 1 day.
1H.
Let's see what 1H is. 1 hour? There we go. Let's try, what do you think month is? MO? One Monday? 1 month? Okay, 1 month. There we go there. There's 1 year. The duration you entered isn't supported for this field. Type your duration such as. Okay. There's a shortcut for that.
You'd have to do like 12 months.
Let's try 1YR. Nope. Oh, you think so? Okay, 12 months.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, there we go. 12 months. So it's formatted by month, so once the input is 12 months. Okay. All right, so let's get into some more less tedious stuff. As I did before, I had to go in and add a successors column. So I'm going to click Add New Column. Successors. All right, is everyone with me? Okay. How's everyone doing? Hey, it's Saturday morning. We're all doing shitty. So.
We're on days right
I think that's the line at the end.
You have another computer?
Thanks, bro.
There's one Dr. Fergie brought, doesn't have. I don't have it on here.
Can you change from testimony to mining to automatic?
Yeah, it's such a pain too because you have to create that account even if you just download.
Hey, don't forget to change it to automatic.
Isn't it,
Task mode.
What is?
is that task mode thing, if you click on it, mine says,
It should be auto.
Yeah, it'll warn you if you're. Yeah, when you're in the options, it should add them all as auto. As I said before, you can go in and change it up here, but I just read horror stories about people online doing that, so that's why I say go into options every single time. Okay, let's go ahead and start trying to add a few different tasks. So I'm just going to add them like step 1, step 2. For simplicity, let's all just make them 1 month. I want everyone to make 5 tasks. Everyone's going to be 1 month.
If it doesn't pre-populate the start date all the way down, then it's
Bad that.
Oh, yeah?
They don't have to.
How you do that?
I don't know, my bad.
Yeah, that's in manual mode. Try going, I mean, you could try going into task and setting them as auto there, but. Okay, so it just gave me this warning. It said, want to do this faster, select items you want to bulk edit and click either information or resource information. So basically what it's told me is it says, hey, you can edit more than 1 task at a time. You just need to tell me what you want to edit. So like on here, if I, similar to Excel, if I highlight a bunch of cells and I want to make them all 1 day, I can type 1 day. Should be, oh, okay. You can't do it the way that I just did it. But what you can do is you go in. Okay, there's a very simple thing that I haven't covered yet. To see the features of a step, all you have to do is double click it. So double click that first task right there, and it's going to come up with your task information. Does everyone see that? So in your task information here, as we pointed out before, priority, which I don't know what that means, it's going to show me the name of my task. When we get into later, this is really important, it's going to tell me the percentage of the tasks that I've completed so far. So we'll talk about that a bit later. The duration of the task is very important. That's what it's going to display there. Whether or not it's auto-scheduled, the start date, the finish date. So basically, this general tab, everything right here, is displayed on this, besides the % complete.
Quick question.
Yeah.
If you create that task with the drag function, does it lock in the like the end date?
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Because I did it, and it's when I change it to 1 month, it keeps trying to push the start date back.
Yeah, that's what's happening for 1 step.
The first step, the one that you dragged, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What does it do?
When I go to switch it from 8 days, because that's what we originally had, to 1 month, it keeps trying to push my start date back. It keeps saying, hey, if you do this, it's going to push you back. Do you want to continue? Remember that first thing you did? But that's because I dragged it. And all the other ones...
Did you drag it to the right or to the left?
I dragged it to the right to create the date.
Okay, so did you just... You didn't type it in. You just grabbed this and you dragged it like this?
Originally, yes. That's how I set that up. But now... When I try to change that to, when I created it, I dragged it. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. And now when I try to change the duration, it says, yeah, it's working for you. When you originally created it, you did the new task, right?
I did.
Yeah, I dragged it, and now it won't, well, obviously I could delete it and do it over, but it won't let me push that date forward. It's doing it.
Yeah, same exact thing.
I'm
gonna try right now.
That's what I'm about to do.
Start a new one.
Does that make sense?
Why don't you just create a new one? I'm not too sure.
Does it mean?
When you create them, I mean, it's easier. I mean, I think it's easier to just go in and create the task and assign the date and the stages, but I'm not sure why it would push that. And it's on auto scheduling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just delete it and do it again.
All right. Cool.
That's weird. Okay, so I've made 5 tasks. We're going to look at this. When I double click on the task, I'm showing my general what's going to be displayed there, right? And later we'll get into what the percentage complete is here. So this is not only going to show you what that actual task is, it's going to show its relationship between the other tasks. We're going to cover that in a minute, but just so that you know when we're going through this. So there are going to be a number of things that have to occur before this task happens, let's say, for example. So we would link those type of things. So if we're building a building, we're going to have to build the foundation before we build the walls of the building, right? So we obviously need those tasks to be connected. So this predecessors is defining which one of those tasks before have to be completed before you can actually do this task, which is very important. You know, you're going to build, let's say, a septic tank, then a foundation, then the walls of the building, then a roof. You might have those things are going to run concurrently, and then there might be other things that are not running concurrently. Maybe Dustin can help me out because I'm not really a construction person, but stuff like you could be doing an internal and an external fit out at the same time, but you can't put a roof. You can't put a roof on a building until you build the superstructure.
Right.
Right. So those things could be, and that's really the idea of the program. And so linking these tasks is really what the power part of the program is. But when we get to the end, it's the critical path. And actually, we're going to just watch a video on critical path because I'm not the best at explaining it. But like I said, things like a foundation needs to be completed before you can build the superstructure, and the superstructure before the roof, and the roof before you could do drywall and put the windows in and start doing your internal type stuff. So identifying the critical path and the things that have to happen before other things happen is the driving factor, what really makes this program different than something that's just like a calendar. So what we're going to be doing here is we're defining the relationship between those tasks and setting dependencies. So, and if I'm going too fast, let me know. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
So setting which tasks are dependent on others, which are they would call free floating. So might happen in a specific time period. If they don't happen in a specific time period, it could then become a critical task because you have to do that task before you do another one. So let's say like the drywall, for instance. You can't put your fixtures up until you have the drywall installed. So you can't put a light fixture on the wall before you have the drywall installed. So we might be doing the drywall while we're putting in the windows of the house, right? But the windows are going to take longer than the drywall. But let's say we were delayed on the drywall. That means we're not going to be able to put the fixtures in by a specific amount of time. So it's basically going to kick that out, and it will create a longer schedule because that's something that absolutely has to be done. So that's just a short description. It gets a little more complicated than that, but what we are defining here are the predecessors are the things that happen before that item is able to take place. The next worksheet that we're going to work on, and to be honest, we're going to be on this one for a while, but I'll just define it. It's going to be the resources. So, like I said before, who the people are that we're using, what their costs are. Could be materials. I've told several times not to use the materials example, but could be materials. We need concrete for this. We need whatever for that, and that type of thing. So we'll talk about the resources in a minute. This advanced tab is very important, especially when it comes to the order that those tasks happen in. And specifically, I'm talking about the constraint type here. So why don't I just link to and I'll show you what I mean. So right here, I'm going to grab this and I'm going to pull down to link these two items. Does everyone see that? So what happened here is that it changed, and we have everyone has successors on their screen, right? So it changed. So it said, okay, step 2 can't happen until step 1 is done. Go ahead.
You have to drag it to the beginning of that thing, don't you?
No, just make sure it has the cross when you're hovering over it. So like you see when I hover over this, it has the cross. There's other options you can do, like I can drag it out, make it longer. The other way of doing it that I was just about to cover too is that if you highlight both of them, you can go up here and you can select, well, I'm going to select to unlink them now.
Okay.
So, or you can go up here and you select link. So those are two ways. There's always a way to do it graphically, and there's always a way to do it through the options. And actually, the graphic thing, being able to do it graphically is a relatively new thing. It used to just be that you had to do everything, obviously, manually. The graphical thing, I think, is just sometimes just confusing, to be honest.
Is there a way, like when in predecessors, just to say, hey, you know, step 2 is linked to step 1?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's a way to do it without going into the task. What do they call it? The task information tab. So that's a great question. So let's say that my successors on this is 2. Same thing there.
Okay, so you're just putting the number of that. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and so you're defining these tasks. They each assigned a number.
Okay, cool.
So it'd be the same thing. And just to show you, you can mass edit. So I'm going to remove that link, and then I'm going to link all these.
Okay.
Did you see that? So I highlighted all of them, and I said I want those to be linked.
All right, nice.
What tab?
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Highlighted in what?
You need to have your task ribbon open at the top, and I want you to highlight multiple tasks, and then click this link right here. Link the selected tasks. So steps are usually, you think steps not being in going one after the other, right? Steps like I can't take my second step before I take my first. So that's the assumption that the program makes, right? It says I can't take step 2 until I take step 1. I can't take step 3 until I take step 2. So it's gone through and it's linked them and it's shown what the successors are and what the predecessors are. So what had to occur before that in order for that to happen.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I don't have the chart on the side here. So I don't know what happened.
Okay, you're in no man's land over here, so let's go to you. Yeah, you're and let's click entire project. There you go. So actually, that's even better. That's actually good. I like it when people ask questions like that because it reminds me that. So what we just did right there is he said, okay, my view's not very good here. I actually don't. That's kind of small, and I'm not really liking that. So I'm just going to click entire project. So I clicked view and entire project. So now it's real clear. It's real clear. I have 5. I have 5 tasks. Each one of them is a month. One happens right after the other. Now let's say, for example, I can take. I'm thinking that I can accomplish more than one thing at a time. So there's a number of different ways to link these tasks. I'm going to do most of this through the resource or the task information tab, just to make things simple, and then I'll show you how to do it graphically after. So everyone double-click this step, one of your steps, and then click Advanced. So we're going to talk about these constraint types now. The steps in succession that I was just describing is as soon as possible, right? So as soon as I take my first step, I can take my second. There's a number of different other ways to schedule things, obviously. Some of that is by date. Like let's say, for instance, I ordered a bunch of materials. I ordered a bunch of drywall. I'll use Dustin's example, but the drywall is not going to be there until a specific date. So I'm going to say that, okay, well, I can't start this. Well, let me use step 2 for an example because it'll just show it better graphically. I can't start this task until I have the materials to do it. And so I'm going to say start no earlier than. And then I see over here at the right, it's highlighted. What it's done for me when I've clicked that is it's showing dates, right? So this is.
Mine statement already has April 1st. Should it not? On step 2 it says constraint date 4/1/15.
It's because our start dates are different.
Damn, I want the wrong start date.
No, I think I am actually. Okay, so start no earlier than. We're not going to have materials, so this is going to say the constraint type. So right now it's saying that
The start date is right.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
I think my start date is right. So, okay, we're not going to have materials earlier than, so this is supposed to start in April 29th, right? Okay, well, I don't think I'm going to have those materials till actually May 5th. So I'm going to say start no earlier than May 5th. So you'll see it push that out right there, because I have a delay where I can't start this next task for a certain number of days.
Mm.
So it's
I see.
it's a pretty straightforward concept, but let's just go through a few different scenarios. So let's say I want to start no later than, and I'm going to start this task earlier, and it's going to run concurrently with the other. So it's warning me that there's going to be a conflict. So continue, but avoid the conflict by using start no earlier than constraint instead, or do you want to hold that constraint, or
Which
continue?
constraint type are you using there now?
Start no later than.
Start on-
What date did we?
Let me go back and do it again. The dates don't really matter. This is just a really hypothetical thing here. We'll go through and add something specific in a bit where we have to all conform to the same type of thing. So I'm saying start no earlier than, and I'm setting a date that is prior to that is during when the previous task is running, right? I didn't accomplish that this time.
It was the no later than.
Yeah.
April 29th, I'm going to say April 27th. And I'm going to tell it it's warning me that says, you're setting this before, I'm going to say continue. It's saying that this will cause a section scheduling conflict, I'm going to say continue. And basically, it's going to allow me to run these concurrently, and these two will be running at the same time. So that's the basic concept. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
That makes sense? Okay. And I realize this is mundane, like not fun stuff, guys. I know. It's just
We want to learn.
it's very basic. So for those of you that are following it real well, I apologize, but it's the way that we got to go through it. So another way of doing this. And I'm not going to get bogged down in explaining each one of these. I think it's pretty straightforward. So, start no earlier than, start no later than. We have to finish by a specific day. We have to start by a specific day. They're pretty straightforward. So there's a number of ways to set those up. The most common ones can be changed through the graph on the right. So if you want to look at the way that these are linked, let's double click this arrow that we've changed here, right? So this is a different thing. This is a task dependency. And let's say, for example, I'm going to go in and just edit one of these so we can see an example for one that's just set in success. So this is saying that for the first task, for task number 3 to finish, has to finish before task 4 starts. This is another way of changing a constraint. So this is going to be a task dependency. And let's say that there's a lag. So I don't think I'm going to be able to start step 4. Go ahead.
How did you get to that one?
I double clicked the arrow or the flow. So this is the similar thing where there's you have to take a certain step before you can take the next step. So I'm going to say between step 3 and step 4 there's going to be some type of lag. So you'll see when I change that, maybe I did that a bit fast, under my task dependency, finish to start, I create a lag of 5 days. So that's another way of setting a constraint. So let's say that it's not a materials limit. It's just something that can't be accomplished until a few days after
Holidays or
something's done. Holidays, let's say, some stupid example, like paint has to dry, or like something has to set, or foundations have to settle.
Keel.
Something like that. Anyway, so
Finish. No construction.
Finish to start.
It's the contract.
Finish to start. I'm just using Dustin as example.
Dustin works at Walmart. Don't let him lie to you.
Okay, so finish to start. Yeah, I need to go back and take my construction class over again.
Kevin, do they have templates for this?
I
Like
just don't.
for construction?
Dustin, you know that's where we're going, right? Yeah, there's actually.
And then you can just take out the stuff that's not applicable?
Yeah,
Or
you're gonna like this by the end of the day. I promise you that. So yeah, that's where we're going. Obviously, Dustin just hit the nail on the head, and that's what we use it for. And before we get into any of that stuff, we have to do all this shit that we have to go through first.
Yeah, we're being.
I forgot that we're on camera. Actually,
Yeah.
excuse my language, but we got to go through a bunch of stuff before we get to the end game. So, so we're gonna have to finish. We're gonna have to finish this to start the next. So. We're all adults here. I don't think that's a big deal. Anyway, so.
No, man, you're good.
Okay, finish to start. So we have 5 days. We have 5 days at those before we can start the next task. So basically, I'm setting a finish to start lag of 5 days. So we have basically a 5-day gap between step 3 and step 4. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Let's say that the opposite is true, where we can start this within 5 days of the end of the other tasks. So finish to start, negative 5 days. We did a similar thing as we did over here before, but it's not actually it's not a constraint. So it's still starting as soon as it can. It's just that we have a lag and when it can start. So for instance, so there's a number of other different ways that can happen too. Let's say, for example, we want these tasks to start at the same time.